There is something your body does every single night that the ancient wise ones knew as a kind of death. A gentle one, a merciful one, not the final death, but a rehearsal for it. A reminder, every time you close your eyes and drift away from the waking world, something inside you loosens its grip, something departs. The mystics of old Islam called it the soul's return to Allah. The Zen monks called it entering the lion's posture of the Buddha. Both knew the same secret, that sleep is not simply rest for a tired body, but a sacred journey your soul makes each night, traveling back to the source from which it came. And if you understand this, if you truly let this ancient wisdom settle into your bones, sleep will never feel the same again. Tonight, as darkness falls and your eyelids grow heavy, you will not simply be going to sleep. You will be participating in one of the universe's oldest rituals. You will be returning home. The teaching introduction. In the 6th century, in the vast deserts of Arabia, and in the quiet monasteries tucked into the mountains of ancient Asia, two very different spiritual traditions were coming to understand the same profound truth about the nature of sleep. They spoke different languages. They prayed in different ways. They had never met, these seekers of truth, separated by thousands of miles of land and sea. And yet, when night came, they understood the same thing. The Islamic scholars, studying the words revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, found in the Holy Qur'an a verse so startling in its implications that it changed how they saw every single night of their lives. In Surah Az-Zumar, verse 42, Allah says, "It is Allah who takes away the souls at the time of their death, and those that do not die during their sleep. Then He keeps those souls for which He has ordained death and sends the rest back for an appointed term." Read that again slowly. Let it sink in. Allah takes away the souls during sleep, not just at death. During sleep, every night when you drift off, when consciousness fades and the world dissolves into darkness, your soul is being taken. The Arabic word used is yatawafa, which means to take in full, to withdraw completely. This is the same word used for death itself. Sleep, in the Islamic understanding, is not merely a biological function. It is a minor death, a temporary withdrawal of the soul from the body, a nightly rehearsal for the final departure. And halfway across the world, in the meditation halls where monks sat in stillness, watching their breath rise and fall, the Buddha taught something remarkably similar. He spoke of sleep as a transition state, a threshold between worlds. He himself, when he lay down to rest, took what became known as the lion's posture, lying on his right side, one foot resting upon the other, the right hand cradling the head. This was not merely a comfortable sleeping position. It was a spiritual practice. It was the posture he took when he entered parinirvana, the final liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Every night, practitioners were encouraged to sleep as the Buddha died, to treat each night's rest as if it were their last, to maintain awareness even as the body drifted into unconsciousness. What did these ancient teachers know that we have forgotten? They knew that sleep is a surrender. They knew that when you lie down at night and close your eyes, you are performing an act of absolute trust. You are letting go of everything. Your thoughts, your worries, your control, your very consciousness. You are saying to the universe, I release myself. Take me. Do with me what you will. I trust that I will return. And this surrender, this letting go, this nightly death and resurrection, is one of the most profound spiritual practices available to human beings. We do it every single night. Most of us do it without thinking, without reverence, without understanding. We simply get tired, climb into bed, and drift off. But the mystics knew better. They knew that the way you enter sleep, the way you prepare for this nightly journey, determines not just the quality of your rest, but the quality of your soul. In the Islamic tradition, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had specific practices for sleep. Before lying down, he would dust off his bed 3 times with the edge of his garment, a simple act of care and preparation. He would perform ablution, washing his hands, face, and feet, making himself ritually pure before surrendering to sleep. He would lie on his right side, placing his right hand beneath his right cheek. And then he would speak. He would pray. He would say, Bismika Allahumma amutu warahaya. In your name, O Allah, I die and I live. In your name, I die and I live. Think about that. He called sleep a kind of dying, and he called waking a kind of living. Every single night, he acknowledged this cycle, this rhythm of departure and return. In the morning, when he opened his eyes and consciousness returned, he would say, Alhamdulillahilladi ahyana bieda ma'amat ana wa alayhin nushur. All praise is for Allah who gave us life after he caused us to die, and to him is the resurrection. After he caused us to die, not metaphorically, not symbolically. In the understanding of these practitioners, sleep was death. Temporary, merciful, necessary death. And waking was resurrection. A gift, a second chance. Another day granted by divine mercy. The Zen tradition approaches this from a different angle but arrives at the same destination. In the monasteries, monks were taught to enter sleep with the same mindfulness they brought to meditation. Before lying down, they would sit in gas show, hands pressed together at the heart, and recite a gatha, a short verse to set their intention. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander your life. Then they would assume the lion's posture, lying on the right side, arranging the body with the same precision they brought to sitting meditation. The feet aligned, the spine straight, the head resting gently on the right hand. And they would maintain their practice, their awareness of breath, their presence, as they drifted towards sleep. The goal was not to prevent sleep. It was not to force wakefulness. It was something more subtle. It was to carry awareness into the threshold, to remain present at the doorway between waking and sleeping, to witness the exact moment when consciousness shifts from one state to another. Some advanced practitioners spoke of maintaining a thread of awareness even during sleep itself, a kind of lucid presence that pervaded their dreams and their dreamless rest. They described waking up not from unconsciousness, but from a different kind of consciousness, emerging from sleep the way one emerges from deep meditation, refreshed but unbroken, continuous. Both traditions, Islam and Zen, understood something that modern sleep science is only beginning to rediscover. That how you enter sleep matters. That the thoughts you hold as you drift off shape not just your dreams but your rest itself. That preparation, ritual, intention, these things are not superstitious add-ons to sleep. They are integral to it. They transform sleep from a biological necessity into a spiritual practice, from unconscious collapse into conscious surrender. And they both understood something else, something even more profound. That sleep is practice for death. That every night when you lie down and let go, you are training yourself for the final letting go. You are learning to trust. You are learning to release. You are learning that you can disappear completely and still return. That consciousness can dissolve and reform. That the self you think is so solid, so permanent, so essential, can actually come and go, ebb and flow like the tide. And that, on the other side of that dissolution, on the other side of that surrender, there is peace. The Islamic understanding Allah takes the soul. Let us go deeper into the Islamic understanding of what happens during sleep. The Qur'an is precise in its language. Allah does not merely watch over us while we sleep. He does not simply protect us through the night. He actively takes our souls. The verse from Surah Az-Zumar makes this clear. Allah takes the souls at the time of their death, and those that do not die during their sleep. Then he withholds those on whom he has passed the decree of death and sends the others back till an appointed term. This is not poetry. This is theology. This is cosmology. Allah takes all souls. Those who die in their sleep, he keeps. Those whose time has not yet come, he returns. Every single night, your soul is held in the hands of the divine, and a decision is made. Will you wake up tomorrow? That is not your choice. That is not in your control. You lie down, you close your eyes, your soul departs, and you trust, whether you know it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, you trust that it will be returned. The classical Islamic scholars spent centuries contemplating this verse. Al-Tabari, one of the great early commentators on the Qur'an, explained that when a person sleeps, their soul is taken to a realm where it mingles with other souls, both the living and the dead. The soul is not simply inactive during sleep. It is active in a different dimension. Some scholars believed that the souls of the sleeping meet the souls of the deceased in this intermediate realm, this barzakh, this space between worlds. The dreams we have, the visions we receive, these are echoes of what our souls experience during this nightly journey. Al-Qurtubi, another great scholar, collected many hadith, sayings of the Prophet, to shed light on this mystery. One hadith describes how when a person falls asleep, Allah sends an angel to take their soul. The angel draws it out gently, carefully, the way you might lift a sleeping child without waking them. The soul hovers near the body, still connected by the thinnest of threads, but no longer fully inhabiting it. The body breathes, the heart beats, the organs function, but the animating principle, the ruh, the soul, is elsewhere. It is with Allah. It is in a state beyond our comprehension, beyond time, beyond space as we know it. This is why sleep has always been considered, in Islam, as one of the signs of Allah's power. It is mentioned in the Qur'an explicitly, and among His signs is your sleep by night and by day, and your seeking of His bounty. Verily in that are signs for those who hearken. Sleep is a sign, proof, evidence of divine design. Think about it. You cannot force yourself to stay awake indefinitely. You cannot will yourself into consciousness when sleep has truly claimed you. Something takes over. Something beyond your ego, beyond your conscious mind, beyond your individual will. You surrender every night whether you want to or not. Eventually, inevitably, you must let go. And in that letting go, in that surrender, there is a profound spiritual lesson. The Sufis, the mystic branch of Islam, saw sleep as a training ground for the ultimate surrender. Jalal ad-Din Rumi, the great poet and mystic, wrote about sleep as a kind of annihilation, a fana, where the individual self dissolves into the ocean of divine presence. He wrote, "Die before you die," and he meant it both metaphorically and practically. Practice death. Practice surrender. Every night is an opportunity to let go of your ego, your identity, your attachment to this world, and to experience, however briefly, the state of union with the divine. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had a deep understanding of this spiritual dimension of sleep. His bedtime practices were not merely hygienic or practical. They were sacred rituals. Before going to sleep, he would recite specific verses from the Qur'an. He would recite Ayat al-Kursi, the throne verse, which speaks of Allah's sovereignty over all existence. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of existence. Neither drowsiness overtakes Him nor sleep. Allah does not sleep, but we do. And in that difference, in that asymmetry, there is a profound dependence, a recognition of our need, our fragility, our creatureliness. He would also recite the last two chapters of the Qur'an, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas, seeking refuge in Allah from the whispers of evil, from the terrors of the night, from the vulnerability that comes with unconsciousness. Because sleep is a vulnerable state. When you are asleep, you are defenseless. You cannot protect yourself. You cannot stay vigilant. You must trust that you will be protected. The Prophet's du'as, his supplications before sleep, were acts of entrustment. He would say, Allahumma inaka kalakta nafsi wa anta tawafaha, laka mamataha wa mahayaha in ahyayaha fafatha, wa in amattaha fagfir laha. O Allah, you created my soul and you take it back. To you belongs its death and its life. If you give it life, then protect it, and if you cause it to die, then forgive it. If you give it life, not when. Every morning is a gift. Every awakening is a resurrection that could have not happened. The Prophet lived with this awareness. His companions noticed that he slept very little, only a few hours in the middle of the night. The rest of the night he spent in prayer, in remembrance, in conversation with the divine. But when he did sleep, he slept completely. He did not toss and turn. He did not fidget or change positions. He lay on his right side in perfect stillness, and he surrendered utterly. One of his companions, Anas ibn Malik, described how the Prophet's eyes would sleep but his heart remained awake, alert to any need of his community, ready to rise at a moment's notice. This is the ideal. Sleep that refreshes the body but does not dull the spirit. The right side was emphasized specifically. Medical knowledge has since confirmed what the Prophet somehow knew. Lying on the right side is optimal for the heart, reduces the pressure on internal organs, and promotes better circulation and breathing. But the spiritual reason is deeper. The right side is associated with receptivity, with surrender, with openness to divine influence. The left side is associated with activity, with worldly engagement. By sleeping on the right, you are symbolically turning away from the world and toward the divine. You are saying, I am done with my own efforts for today. I place myself in your hands. The hand under the cheek is significant too. It is a gesture of rest, of trust, of childlike surrender. Think of how a child sleeps, curled up, hand tucked under the face, utterly vulnerable, utterly at peace. That is the state the Prophet encouraged. Not the tense, worried sleep of someone who cannot let go. Not the restless sleep of someone still mentally active, still planning, still controlling. But the deep, trusting sleep of someone who knows they are held. And the morning dua, the prayer upon waking, completes the cycle. Alhamdulillahilladi ahyana biyada, ma'amat ana wa ilayhin nushur. All praise is for Allah who gave us life after death, and to Him is the resurrection. This is not merely gratitude for a good night's sleep. This is existential recognition. You were gone. You were dead in a sense. Your soul was taken, and now it has been returned. You have been resurrected. You have been given another day. How will you use it? What will you do with this gift of consciousness, of life, of presence? The Islamic tradition is full of stories of people who died in their sleep. It is considered one of the best ways to die, peaceful, painless, surrendered. The person lies down to rest and simply does not wake up. Their soul is taken and kept, rather than returned. There is a hadith where the Prophet describes how some people wake up in the morning as believers and go to sleep as disbelievers, or wake up as disbelievers and go to sleep as believers. The point is that the state of your heart when you fall asleep matters. Are you surrendered to Allah? Are you at peace with yourself and the world? Or are you holding on to anger, to resentment, to fear? The sleep you enter shapes the soul that departs and returns. There is another beautiful hadith where the Prophet said, when any of you goes to bed, he should shake out his bed with the inside of his waist sheet, for he does not know what has come onto it after him. Then he should say, in your name, my Lord, I lie down, and in your name I rise. If you take my soul, have mercy on it, and if you send it back, protect it as you protect your righteous servants. If you take my soul, not when I wake up. If I wake up, every sleep is potentially the last sleep. Every night is potentially the final night. And that awareness, rather than creating fear, creates surrender, creates gratitude, creates presence. The great theologian Al-Ghazali wrote extensively about sleep in his masterwork, The Revival of the Religious Sciences. He described sleep as a sign that points to death, and death as a sign that points to the afterlife. Everything in creation is a sign, an ayah, pointing to something beyond itself. Sleep teaches us that we can exist in states we do not understand, that consciousness is not as simple as on or off, that there are layers, depths, dimensions to existence that our waking mind cannot fathom. When you dream, where are you? When you experience deep dreamless sleep, what happens to the you that experiences things? These are not idle philosophical questions. They are existential koans that sleep presents to us every single night. And the answer Islam gives is this: you are with Allah. Your soul is held in divine hands. You are in a state of barzakh, of interval, of in-betweenness. You are practicing for the ultimate barzakh, the state between death and resurrection on the day of judgment. Every night is a small death. Every morning is a small resurrection. And the great death, the final death, will be followed by the great resurrection, the final awakening. If you can learn to surrender to sleep with trust and peace, you are learning to surrender to death with trust and peace. And if you can wake each morning with gratitude, recognizing the gift of returned consciousness, you are preparing to wake on the day of resurrection with the same gratitude, the same recognition of divine mercy. This is why sleep is sacred in Islam. This is why there are rituals around it, prayers for it, etiquette for it. Because it is not merely biological. It is spiritual. It is a nightly meeting with your Creator. It is a nightly reminder of your mortality and your dependence. It is a nightly opportunity to practice the ultimate surrender. And if you approach it with this awareness, if you prepare for sleep the way the Prophet prepared for it, with cleanliness, with prayer, with mindfulness, with trust, then sleep becomes one of the deepest forms of worship available. You are not just resting your body. You are offering your soul back to the one who gave it to you, knowing that he will care for it better than you ever could. The Zen and Buddhist perspective, the lion's posture. Now let us cross the world and enter the meditation halls of ancient monasteries, where monks in saffron and gray robes learned to sleep like lions. The Buddha, in his final moments on earth, lay down between two sal trees in the grove at Kushinagar. He was 80 years old. His body, worn from years of teaching and traveling, was ready to cease. He arranged himself carefully on his right side, placed his right hand under his right cheek, extended his legs straight with one foot resting atop the other, and entered parinirvana, the final liberation from the cycle of birth and death. He died consciously. He died with awareness. He died in complete surrender and perfect peace. And the posture he took became known as the lion's posture, the kingly pose, the way of sleeping for those who wish to carry their practice into the night. Why is it called the lion's posture? Because the lion, the king of animals, is said to sleep in this exact way. On its right side, utterly still, completely at rest, and yet somehow alert, present, ready. The lion does not fear while it sleeps. It does not need to. It is the apex, the sovereign, the one that has nothing above it. And in the spiritual sense, the practitioner who has seen through the illusion of self, who has touched the deathless, who rests in Buddha nature, sleeps with the same fearlessness, the same sovereignty, the same ease. In Zen Master Dogen's writings, he speaks of sleep as one of the 4 postures that make up monastic life. Walking, standing, sitting, lying. All 4 are to be practiced with the same awareness, the same mindfulness, the same thoroughness. There is no off-duty time for a Zen practitioner. There is no moment when awareness is set aside. Even sleep, especially sleep, is part of the practice. Dogen wrote in his monastic guidelines, the Ihei Shinji, that monks should not sleep on their backs like demons, or on their stomachs like hungry ghosts, or on their left sides like people attached to pleasure. They should sleep on their right side like the Buddha, like those who are preparing to die well, like those who understand that sleep is not escape but entrance. The right side is significant in Buddhist physiology for reasons that echo the Islamic understanding but come from a different cosmology. In Tibetan Buddhism, which preserves many of these ancient teachings, it is believed that there are subtle channels running through the body, called nadis, through which energy or lung flows. On the right side of the body are channels associated with karmic winds, the disturbed energies that drive us through cycles of craving and aversion, birth and death. By lying on the right side, you compress these channels, you close them off, you create a physiological condition that supports spiritual clarity. On the left side are channels associated with wisdom and awakening. By leaving the left side open, uncompressed, you allow the wisdom energies to flow freely. But there is more. The right nostril is associated with solar energy, with activity, with engagement with the world. The left nostril is associated with lunar energy, with receptivity, with inner stillness. When you lie on your right side, you naturally breathe more through the left nostril. Your breath becomes cooler, calmer, more conducive to rest and to meditation. The body knows what it is doing. The ancients knew how to work with the body's natural wisdom. In the monasteries, sleep was not treated as unconscious collapse. It was treated as a practice. Before lying down, monks would sit in meditation posture on their sleeping mats. They would bring their hands together in gassho, the gesture of respect and unity, and they would recite a gatha, a verse to frame the intention of their sleep. Different lineages had different gathas, but they all pointed to the same understanding. That sleep is impermanent, that life is fragile, that death could come at any moment, and that therefore this night, this sleep, this surrender, should be entered with full awareness and complete sincerity. One common gatha goes, "Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken, take heed, do not squander your life." And then, with that awareness alive in the heart, the monk would lie down in the lion's posture, arranging the body with care. The right side down, the legs extended but not rigid, slightly bent at the knees, one foot resting on the other, the right hand cradling the head, the left arm extended along the left side of the body, resting naturally. Every detail mattered. This was not just going to bed. This was assuming the posture of the Buddha's death. This was preparing to die consciously. And then the practice would continue. Some monks would maintain breath awareness as they drifted towards sleep, counting breaths just as they did in meditation, feeling the cool air entering through the nostrils, the warm air departing, the rise and fall of the belly, the gradual slowing of thought, the softening of the boundary between self and world. The goal was not to prevent sleep. It was to remain aware at the threshold, to witness the exact moment when waking consciousness gives way to sleep consciousness, to see if it was possible to carry a thread of awareness through that transition. Other monks would work with a koan, a paradoxical question that the rational mind cannot answer, holding it gently in awareness as they fell asleep. Koans like, "What is your original face before your parents were born?" Or, "Does a dog have Buddha nature?" These questions do not have logical answers. They are designed to exhaust the thinking mind, to create an opening for direct insight. And some monks reported that koans would open during sleep, that in the liminal space between waking and dreaming, between thought and no thought, sudden understanding would arise, clear and wordless and complete. There are many stories in Zen literature of monks having profound awakenings during or just after sleep. The most famous is the story of Ananda, the Buddha's cousin and attendant. Ananda was a devoted practitioner, but despite years of effort, he could not attain full enlightenment. The night before the first council, where 500 enlightened monks were to gather to recite and preserve the Buddha's teachings, Ananda stayed up all night meditating, desperately trying to break through, but nothing happened. Exhausted, he finally gave up and lay down to sleep. And at the exact moment his head touched the pillow, enlightenment struck. Not while trying, while surrendering, not while striving, while letting go. The story is a teaching. That awakening comes when the self-centered effort ends, when control is released, when you stop trying to become something and simply allow yourself to be. Another Zen story tells of a monk who had been working on a koan for years without success. One night, sleeping in the meditation hall, he dreamed that he was sitting in perfect zazen, facing a wall of pure jade. Behind him, his teacher walked slowly, the sound of each footstep echoing in the vast circular hall. And in the dream, still sitting, still facing the wall, the monk understood. The koan dissolved. Clarity arose. And when he woke, the understanding remained. He went to his teacher and demonstrated his realization, and his teacher confirmed it. The practice had continued through sleep. Awareness had not been broken. The dream state had been as fertile for insight as the waking state. These stories point to something the Zen tradition has always known: that consciousness is more fluid, more continuous than we usually think. We believe we are either awake or asleep, either conscious or unconscious, but the reality is more complex. There are layers, gradations, threshold states. And with training, with practice, with the right preparation and intention, it is possible to remain aware through these transitions, to carry mindfulness from waking into sleeping, from sleeping into dreaming, from dreaming into deep sleep, and then back again. This is part of what is called dream yoga in the Tibetan tradition, though similar practices exist in Zen. The idea is to recognize while dreaming that you are dreaming, to wake up inside the dream. And once you can do that, you can begin to explore the nature of all experience, asking, how is waking life different from a dream? Both arise in consciousness. Both are populated by thoughts, sensations, perceptions. Both feel utterly real while they are happening and dissolve when they end. The only difference is the stability, the consistency, the shared agreement about what is real. But from the perspective of pure awareness, waking and dreaming are not fundamentally different. They are both appearances arising in the space of consciousness. And sleep, deep dreamless sleep, is the dissolution of all appearances, the return to the source, the ground, the luminous emptiness from which all experience emerges. The Buddha taught that sleep is necessary for the body, but he warned against too much sleep, calling it a form of sloth and torpor, one of the hindrances to awakening. The monastics typically slept only 4 or 5 hours during what was called the middle watch of the night. The first watch, from sunset to about 10 in the evening, was for sitting meditation. The middle watch, from 10 to 2 in the morning, was for sleep in the lion's posture. And the last watch, from 2 until sunrise, was for sitting and walking meditation again. This way, the night was not lost to unconsciousness. It was structured, intentional, part of the rhythm of practice. But even during those few hours of sleep, the practice continued. Zen teachers would remind their students that the way you fall asleep reflects the state of your mind. If you fall asleep while worrying, while clinging, while identified with thoughts and emotions, you are reinforcing those patterns. But if you fall asleep while resting in awareness, while letting go, while trusting the process, you are training in wisdom. You are practicing surrender. You are learning to release the illusion of control. In some Zen monasteries, monks sleep sitting up in lotus posture or half lotus, their backs against a wall, their bodies upright even in sleep. This is not as difficult as it sounds. If the mind is settled, if the body is balanced, if the energy is flowing freely, sleep can come even in sitting posture. And there is a unique quality to this sleep, a lightness, a readiness. You do not fall into oblivion. You rest, you refresh, but you remain somehow accessible, present, alert to the bell that will call you to morning practice. The sovereign lion's pose, as it is sometimes called, has practical benefits that modern sleep science is now confirming. Sleeping on the right side reduces snoring by about 80% because it keeps the airway more open. It reduces pressure on the heart, allowing for better circulation. It aids in digestion, as the stomach and pancreas hang naturally to the left, promoting the flow of digestive enzymes. It promotes deeper, more restful sleep because the body is not fighting against its own structure. But beyond the physical benefits, there is a symbolic power to sleeping the way the Buddha died. Every night you are practicing your death. Every night you are surrendering to the unknown. Every night you are training yourself to let go with grace, with dignity, with awareness. And in the morning, when you open your eyes and see the light returning, there is a traditional practice of immediately bringing the hands to Gassho and giving thanks. Not thanks for a good night's sleep necessarily, but thanks for the return of consciousness, for the gift of another day, for the continuation of the opportunity to practice, to awaken, to serve. Some practitioners bow 3 times upon waking, acknowledging the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the teacher, the teaching, and the community, offering their first waking moments to gratitude rather than to thoughts about the day ahead. This is what the Zen tradition has preserved. The understanding that sleep is not separate from practice, that there is no time, no state, no condition in which you are excused from awareness. Even when the body is tired, even when consciousness fades, even when you cannot keep your eyes open any longer, there is still the practice of letting go with attention, of surrendering with dignity, of resting in the confidence that awareness is deeper and more enduring than any individual state of consciousness. You will sleep. You will wake. The cycle continues. But how you move through that cycle, whether with mindfulness or with mindlessness, with trust or with fear, with gratitude or with taking for granted, that is the difference between sleep as mere biological necessity and sleep as spiritual practice. The meeting point, surrender and trust. We have traveled through the Islamic understanding of sleep as the soul's return to Allah, and we have walked through the Zen approach to sleep as conscious surrender in the lion's posture. Now we arrive at the place where these 2 great traditions meet, where their wisdom converges and reveals something universal, something that transcends culture and religion and speaks to the deepest human experience: the necessity of surrender, the necessity of trust, the necessity of letting go. Both traditions ask the same thing of the practitioner: enter sleep with awareness. Prepare for it. Treat it as sacred. Do not collapse into unconsciousness carelessly. Do not just crash into bed and hope for the best. Bring intention. Bring reverence. Bring gratitude, because sleep is not an interruption of life. It is a continuation of it. It is, in fact, one of life's most essential rhythms. 1/3 of your life is spent sleeping. 1/3. If you live to be 90, you will have spent 30 years asleep. 30 years in this mysterious state of soul departure, of consciousness suspension, of bodily surrender. How you approach those 30 years matters. How you enter and exit them shapes not just your rest but your waking life, your spiritual development, your readiness for death. In Islam, the emphasis is on submission to Allah's will. The word Islam itself means submission, surrender, and sleep is the most literal enactment of that submission. When you say, Bismika Allahumma amutu wa ahya, in your name, O Allah, I die and I live, you are acknowledging that your life is not your own. Your consciousness is not your own. Your soul is not your own. It belongs to Allah. It was given to you and it can be taken back at any moment. Sleep is the reminder of this. Every night you experience what it is to have your soul taken. And every morning, if you wake, you experience what it is to have your soul returned. You cannot control this. You cannot negotiate with it. You can only trust it. And trust is the heart of the practice. Trust that Allah is merciful. Trust that if your soul is taken, it will be because your time has come, and that is not a tragedy but a completion. Trust that if your soul is returned, it is because there is still work for you to do, and you will be given the strength to do it. Trust that you are held, cared for, known, seen, even in the deepest darkness of unconsciousness. This is what the Prophet modeled. He would lie down with absolute trust, saying prayers of entrustment. Allahumma aslam to nafsi alayk. O Allah, I submit my soul to you. I entrust my affairs to you. I turn my face to you. I rely on you. There is no refuge except with you. These are not words of fear. They are words of ultimate confidence. They are the words of someone who knows they are safe in the hands of the divine. In Zen, the emphasis is slightly different but arrives at the same place. The focus is on letting go of clinging, on releasing attachment, on seeing through the illusion of the separate self. When you enter sleep in the lion's posture, you are not praying to a deity. You are not asking for protection. You are practicing the ultimate non-attachment. You are saying, through your posture and your breath and your awareness, I do not need to control this. I do not need to know what happens next. I can let go completely and it will be okay. The self I think I am is not as solid as I believe, can dissolve, can disappear, and something deeper, something truer, something that is not born and does not die will remain. This is the teaching of Buddha nature, the idea that beneath the changing, conditioned self, there is an unconditioned awareness, a luminous knowing that is always present, whether you are awake or asleep, alive or dead, suffering or at peace. And sleep, in the Zen view, is a chance to taste that unconditioned awareness, to drop below the surface chatter of thought and identity and experience the ground of being itself. Some monks describe deep dreamless sleep as the closest thing in ordinary life to the experience of shunyata, emptiness, the vast open spaciousness from which all form arises and to which all form returns. So while the language is different, while one tradition speaks of Allah and soul and the other speaks of Buddha nature and emptiness, they are pointing to the same essential practice. The practice of surrender without fear. The practice of trust without grasping. The practice of letting go completely, knowing that what is essential cannot be lost. And both traditions understand that this practice is not just about sleep. It is about life. It is about death. It is about learning to live in a state of openness and trust, no matter what arises. If you can learn to enter sleep with peace, you can learn to enter the next moment with peace. If you can learn to surrender control at night, you can learn to surrender control during the day. If you can learn to trust that your soul will be returned after sleep, you can learn to trust that your essence will continue after death. There is a beautiful parallel here. In Islam, the Prophet taught that the grave is either a garden of paradise or a pit of hell, depending on the state of the soul. The first night in the grave, the soul is questioned by two angels, Munkar and Nakir. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? And the soul answers based on what it knows, what it has practiced, what it has integrated during life. If your life was lived in surrender to Allah, in trust, in awareness of your mortality and dependence, then the grave is easy, spacious, filled with light. If your life was lived in heedlessness, in arrogance, in denial of the reality of death, then the grave is tight, dark, terrifying. And in Zen, there is the teaching of the Bardas, the intermediate states between death and rebirth. According to Tibetan Buddhism, when you die, your consciousness goes through a series of stages, each one presenting opportunities for liberation or for further entanglement in the cycle of birth and death. The key to navigating these bardas is recognition. Do you recognize the luminous awareness that arises the moment after death? Do you recognize the peaceful and wrathful deities that appear in the intermediate state as projections of your own mind? Do you recognize the pull toward rebirth as the continuation of craving and ignorance? If you can recognize these things, if you can remain aware, you can attain liberation. If not, you are swept along into another life, another round of birth and death. And how do you train for these moments? How do you prepare for the ultimate test of awareness after death? By practicing every day, by practicing every night, by bringing awareness to the small deaths, the small dissolutions, the small surrenders. Sleep is the training ground. Every night you practice dying. Every morning you practice being reborn. And if you do this consciously, if you do this with intention and reverence, you are slowly, gradually building the capacity to navigate the great death with the same awareness, the same trust, the same surrender. This is why both traditions place so much emphasis on the bedtime practices. The Islamic du'as, the Zen gathas, these are not superstitions. They are not rituals for ritual's sake. They are technology. They are tools for shaping consciousness. When you recite a prayer before sleep, you are creating a mental and emotional state that will carry you into unconsciousness. You are setting an intention. You are framing the experience. And that frame matters. If the last thing on your mind before sleep is worry, you will sleep with worry. If the last thing on your mind is gratitude, you will sleep with gratitude. If the last thing on your mind is surrender to the divine, you will sleep in the hands of the divine. And both traditions understood that the body matters. The posture matters. The way you physically arrange yourself influences the state of your mind. Lying on the right side with the hand under the cheek, the legs aligned, this is not arbitrary. Creates a sense of stability, of restfulness, of balance. It supports the natural rhythms of the body. It facilitates deeper breathing, better circulation, more restorative sleep. But beyond the physical benefits, there is a symbolic resonance. You are sleeping the way the Buddha died. You are sleeping the way the Prophet slept. You are aligning yourself with a lineage of practice, with centuries of wisdom, with thousands of people who have walked this path before you and learned how to surrender with grace. There is something deeply comforting about this, something that goes beyond belief or doctrine. It is the feeling of being held by something larger than yourself. When you practice the Islamic or Zen approach to sleep, you are not alone. You are part of a tradition. You are supported by the prayers and the presence of countless others who have lain down the same way, spoken the same words, entered the same surrender. There is a field of practice, an energetic resonance that you tap into, and it makes the letting go easier. It makes the trust deeper. It makes the darkness less frightening. Because darkness is frightening, is it not? The darkness of sleep, the darkness of death, the darkness of not knowing. We are creatures of light. We are creatures of consciousness. And when consciousness fades, when the lights go out, there is a primal fear that arises. What if I do not return? What if there is nothing on the other side? What if I am lost in the void? This is the existential terror that sleep brings to the surface, whether we acknowledge it or not. Children often resist sleep. They cry. They cling. They want one more story, one more glass of water, one more hug, because some part of them knows that sleep is a letting go, and letting go is scary. Adults learn to suppress this fear. We learn to trust that sleep is safe, that we will wake up, that the world will still be here in the morning. But the fear does not go away completely. It lurks beneath the surface. It shows up as insomnia, as restlessness, as the inability to fully surrender. We lie in bed with our minds spinning, worrying about tomorrow, replaying today, planning, analyzing, controlling. We cannot let go because we do not fully trust. We do not trust that it is safe to release our grip on consciousness. We do not trust that we will be okay in the darkness. We do not trust that there is something greater than us holding it all together. This is what the spiritual traditions address. They do not just tell you to sleep. They teach you how to trust. They give you practices, prayers, postures, rituals that help you feel held, safe, connected to something larger. In Islam, you are surrendering to Allah, the merciful, the compassionate, the one who never sleeps, the one who watches over you even when you cannot watch over yourself. In Zen, you are resting in Buddha nature, the unconditioned awareness that is always present, the ground of being that does not come and go, the deathless dimension of your own existence. Either way, you are not alone in the darkness. You are held. You are safe. You can let go. And when you learn to let go into sleep with this trust, something miraculous happens. Sleep becomes deeper, more restorative, more peaceful, because you are not fighting it. You are not resisting it. You are not trying to hold onto consciousness even as it fades. You are surrendering fully, completely, wholeheartedly. And in that full surrender, there is a release of tension, a softening of the body and mind that allows true rest to occur. This is the meeting point. This is where Islam and Zen converge. In the understanding that sleep is sacred, that surrender is strength, that trust is the foundation of peace, and that every night, when you close your eyes and drift away from this world, you are engaging in one of the most profound spiritual practices available to human beings. The practice of letting go and trusting that you will be held. The nightly practice, how ancient seekers prepared. Let us now turn to the practical. How did the ancient practitioners actually prepare for sleep? What were the specific steps, the rituals, the techniques they used to transform sleep from unconscious collapse into sacred practice? If we are to follow in their footsteps, if we are to make sleep a spiritual discipline rather than merely a biological necessity, we need more than theory. We need practice. We need guidance. So let us walk through an evening, a night, as it might have been experienced by a devoted seeker in the Islamic tradition and a diligent monk in a Zen monastery. For the Muslim seeker, the preparation for sleep begins long before bedtime. It begins with the evening prayer, Maghrib, offered just after sunset. This prayer marks the transition from day to night, from the world of light to the world of darkness. It is a threshold moment, and in crossing that threshold, the practitioner is already beginning to orient toward rest, toward inwardness, toward the coming surrender of sleep. After Maghrib comes Isha, the night prayer, offered once full darkness has fallen. This is the last obligatory prayer of the day, and the Prophet recommended not staying up too late after it, not filling the late hours with idle talk or activity, but instead turning toward rest. So the seeker, having completed Isha, returns home or to their room. The first step is simple but important. Prepare the sleeping space. The Prophet would dust off his bed 3 times with the edge of his garment before lying down, a gesture of care and mindfulness, a way of acknowledging that this is a sacred space, a place where the soul will depart and, God willing, return. The bed is not just a piece of furniture. It is an altar. It is the place where you will practice death. Next comes wudu, ablution. Even if you have already performed wudu for the night prayer, it is recommended to renew it before sleep. The washing of the hands, the mouth, the nose, the face, the arms, the head, the ears, the feet, this is not just hygiene. It is purification. It is a way of washing away the day, of releasing what has accumulated, of returning to a state of cleanliness and simplicity. Water is a powerful symbol in Islam, representing mercy, life, renewal. To wash before sleep is to invite divine mercy into the night. Then the seeker lies down on the right side, in the exact posture the Prophet used. The right hand is placed under the right cheek, gently, the way a child might sleep. The body is straight but relaxed. The legs are extended, one foot resting lightly on the other. There is a feeling of settling in, of coming to rest, of the body's weight being fully given to the bed, to the earth, to gravity. There is no tension, no holding, just release. And then come the prayers. These are not long, elaborate prayers. They are short, powerful, specific. The seeker might begin with Ayat al-Kursi, the throne verse, reciting it slowly, savoring each word, feeling the meaning. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of existence. Neither drowsiness overtakes Him nor sleep. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. The verse continues, describing the vastness of Allah's knowledge and power, the absolute sovereignty of the divine over all existence. To recite this before sleep is to place yourself under divine protection, to acknowledge that while you sleep, Allah does not. While you lose consciousness, the universe remains held in perfect awareness. Next, the seeker might recite the last 2 chapters of the Qur'an, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas, seeking refuge in Allah from the evils that prowl in darkness, from the whispers of malicious beings, from the terrors of the night. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak, from the evil of that which He created, and from the evil of darkness when it settles, and from the evil of the blowers in knots, and from the evil of an envier when he envies. These are not superstitious incantations. They are psychological tools. They address the real fear that arises in darkness, the vulnerability of sleep, and they offer a response. Trust in divine protection. Then comes the personal dua, the intimate prayer. The words the Prophet taught, Allahumma bismika amutu warahaya. O Allah, in your name I die and I live. Or the longer version, Allahumma inaka kalakta nafsi wa anta tawafaha. Laka mamataha wa mahayaha in ahyayaha fafatha. Wa in amataha fagfir laha. O Allah, you created my soul and you will take it back. To you belongs its death and its life. If you give it life, protect it, and if you cause it to die, forgive it. This prayer is an entrustment. It is the soul saying, I am yours. Do with me as you will. I trust your wisdom, your mercy, your plan. And with these prayers on the lips and in the heart, the seeker closes their eyes. The room is dark. The body is still. The mind begins to quiet. And there is a sense of having done what can be done, of having prepared as fully as possible, of having offered the day back to Allah and surrendered the night into divine hands. If sleep comes, it will be received as a gift. If death comes instead, it will be met with the same surrender, the same trust, the same peace. Now let us enter the Zen monastery. The day has followed a strict schedule. Rising before dawn, sitting meditation, chanting, breakfast eaten in ritual silence, work practice in the gardens or the kitchen, more sitting, a simple lunch, more work, evening meditation, supper. And now, as the last light fades from the sky, it is time to prepare for sleep. The monk returns to the sleeping hall, a long room with rows of narrow platforms covered by thin futons. Each monk has a small space, just enough to lie down. There is no luxury here, no comfort in the worldly sense, but there is order, simplicity, stillness. The monk removes their outer robes and folds them carefully. Everything is done with attention, with care, with the same mindfulness brought to every action throughout the day. Then the monk sits on the futon in full lotus or half-lotus posture. The spine is upright. The hands are in the lap, right hand cradling left, thumbs touching lightly to form an oval. The eyes are lowered, and the monk sits for a few moments, bringing awareness fully to this transition. The sitting meditation that filled the day is now being brought to the threshold of sleep. The breath is followed. The mind is allowed to settle. Then comes the sleep gatha, recited silently or in a whisper. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander your life. These words are a wake-up call even as the body prepares to sleep. They are a reminder that sleep is not escape. It is not a break from practice. It is part of practice. And that practice is always the same, waken. See clearly. Do not waste this precious human life. With the gatha complete, the monk brings the hands to gas show, palms together at the heart, a gesture of respect and wholeness. A bow is made to the Buddha, to the Dharma, to the Sangha, to this moment, to this life, to this opportunity. And then, slowly, carefully, the monk lies down in the lion's posture. The right side goes down first. The head is placed on the pillow or directly on the right hand if no pillow is used. The legs extend, slightly bent, one foot resting on the other. The left arm lies along the left side of the body, hand resting on the hip or thigh. The position is checked, adjusted, refined until it feels stable, balanced, aligned. And then the practice continues. Some monks count breaths just as they do in sitting meditation. Inhale 1, exhale 2, inhale 3, exhale for up to 10, then back to 1. The counting keeps the mind focused, prevents it from wandering into thoughts about tomorrow or regrets about today. If thoughts arise, they are noticed and released. If sleep begins to come, the counting may fade, but the awareness of breath continues or softens into a more open awareness, a simple resting in the present moment. Other monks work with a koan, holding a question like, "What is mu?" or "What is your original face before your parents were born?" The koan is not solved by thinking. It is held lightly, gently, like a seed in warm soil, and the mind rests with it, allowing it to work beneath the surface of consciousness. Still other monks simply practice shikantaza, just sitting, or in this case, just lying. No technique, no goal, no effort to do anything other than be present, here, now, in this body, in this breath, in this moment. The sounds of the night, the temperature of the air, the weight of the blanket, the darkness behind the eyelids, all of it is simply experienced without judgment, without commentary, without wanting it to be different. This is the essence of Zen practice. Complete acceptance of what is, moment by moment, breath by breath. And eventually, without trying, without forcing, sleep comes. The boundary between waking and sleeping dissolves. Awareness does not end abruptly. It gradually becomes more diffuse, more dreamlike, more fluid. And in that transition, there is a teaching. The self that seems so solid, so continuous, so essential, is revealed to be more like a process than a thing, more like a flow than a fixed point. Where does the I go when sleep arrives? Where does it come from when waking returns? These are the questions that Zen points toward, not to be answered intellectually but to be lived, experienced, realized directly. Both traditions, Islam and Zen, emphasize the importance of making sleep intentional. Not something that just happens to you, but something you consciously enter. And both emphasize simplicity, humility, surrender. There is no complex technology here, no elaborate preparations, just cleanliness, prayer, posture, breath, awareness, trust. These are the tools. These are the practices, and they are accessible to anyone, anywhere, at any time. You do not need to be in a monastery to sleep like a Zen monk. You do not need to be a scholar of Islam to sleep like the Prophet. You simply need to decide that sleep is important enough to approach with care. You need to create a bedtime ritual, however simple, that helps you transition from waking to sleeping with awareness. Maybe it is washing your face and hands. Maybe it is sitting for a few moments in silence. Maybe it is reciting a prayer or a verse that resonates with you. Maybe it is simply lying in the lion's posture and bringing attention to your breath. The specifics matter less than the intention. What matters is that you are treating sleep as sacred. What matters is that you are surrendering consciously rather than collapsing unconsciously. And if you do this, if you bring this level of care and awareness to your sleep, you will notice changes. Your sleep will deepen. Your dreams may become more vivid, more meaningful. You may wake with a sense of clarity and gratitude that was not there before. And beyond the immediate benefits, you will be training yourself in the deeper lesson that both traditions are pointing toward, that you are not in control and that is okay, that you can let go completely and the universe will continue, that you are held by something greater than yourself, whether you call it Allah or Buddha nature or the Tao or the ground of being or simply the mystery of existence, and that this holding is enough. This trust is enough. This surrender is the way. What happens in the night? We have explored the preparation, the intention, the practice of entering sleep. Now let us turn to the mystery itself. What happens during sleep? Where does the soul go? What occurs in those hours of darkness when consciousness fades and the body lies still? The ancients had their explanations, their visions, their teachings. And while modern science has added its own layer of understanding, the fundamental mystery remains. Sleep is still, in many ways, as unknown to us as death. In the Islamic tradition, the teaching is clear. The soul departs. It is taken by Allah or by the angel assigned to this task, and it travels to a realm beyond the physical. Some scholars describe this as the Alam al-Barzakh, the world of the interval, the space between the material and the spiritual. During sleep, the soul is neither fully in the body nor fully free of it. It is suspended, held in a state of liminality. And in that state, it can perceive things that the waking consciousness cannot. Can meet other souls, both of the living and the dead. Can receive visions, insights, warnings, blessings. This is the Islamic understanding of dreams. Dreams are not merely random firings of neurons, not merely the brain processing the day's events. Some dreams are that, certainly. The Prophet said there are 3 types of dreams. Dreams from Allah, which are true visions and carry meaning. Dreams from the nafs, the ego or lower self, which are the mind's own fabrications. And dreams from shaitan, from the whisperer, which are meant to disturb and mislead. The task of the believer is to discern which type of dream they have had. If a dream feels uplifting, if it brings clarity or hope or guidance, it may be from Allah. If a dream is confusing or troubling, it may be from the nafs or shaitan, and it should not be dwelt upon. The Prophet advised that if you have a bad dream, you should spit drilly to your left 3 times, seek refuge in Allah, change your sleeping position, and not speak of the dream to anyone, lest it be given power through attention. But the good dreams, the true dreams, these are gifts. They are messages from the realm beyond. The Prophet himself received many revelations through dreams, and he said that the dreams of believers are 1/46th part of prophecy. This is a remarkable statement. It suggests that the dream state is not inferior to the waking state, not less real or less significant. It is a different mode of perception, one in which the veils are thinner, the boundaries more permeable, the connection to the divine more direct. When you sleep, you are not cut off from guidance. You are, in fact, more open to it. There are countless stories in Islamic history of people receiving important knowledge through dreams. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, one of the great scholars, saw the Prophet in a dream and asked him questions about theological matters, receiving answers that clarified his understanding. Sultan Salahuddin, the great warrior, saw a dream before the Battle of Hattin that filled him with confidence and led to his victory. Ordinary believers, too, have reported dreams in which deceased loved ones appeared, offering comfort or warnings, or in which the future was glimpsed, allowing the dreamer to avoid danger or seize opportunity. The Sufis go even deeper. They speak of spiritual dreams, dreams in which the soul ascends through the heavens, passing through levels of reality, encountering angels and prophets, experiencing states of ecstasy and union with the divine. These are not ordinary dreams. They are spiritual experiences made possible by the loosening of the soul from the body during sleep. The great Sufi master Ibn Arabi wrote extensively about his visionary dreams, describing them as more real than waking life, as journeys into the true nature of existence. He said that the entire cosmos is a dream, and that what we call waking life is merely one kind of dream, while sleep allows us to access other kinds, other layers, other dimensions of the one infinite dream of God. In the Zen tradition, dreams are viewed with more caution. The emphasis is on awakening, on seeing through illusion, on recognizing that all experience, whether waking or sleeping, arises in consciousness and is empty of inherent existence. A dream is just a dream. The thought is just a thought. Neither should be clung to or taken too seriously. And yet, there is also recognition that dreams can be meaningful, that they can reflect the state of the mind, that they can offer insights into the patterns and attachments that bind us. In Tibetan Buddhism, the practice of dream yoga is highly developed. The goal is to become lucid during dreams, to recognize that you are dreaming while the dream is still happening. And once you achieve lucidity, you can begin to work with the dream, to transform it, to explore it, to use it as a laboratory for understanding the nature of mind. If you can recognize a dream as a dream, you are practicing the recognition that all experience is dreamlike, that the waking world is also a construct of mind, and that freedom comes from seeing through the illusion of solidity and permanence. But beyond dreams, there is deep sleep, the state without dreams, the state where consciousness seems to disappear entirely. Modern science calls this non-REM sleep, particularly stages 3 and 4, where brain activity slows, where there are no images, no narratives, no sense of self or time. This is the state of complete rest, the state where the body does its deepest repair, where growth hormones are released, where memories are consolidated, where the nervous system resets. But what is happening to the soul? What is happening to consciousness? The Islamic answer is that the soul is with Allah. It is in the hands of the Creator, beyond our comprehension. The Zen answer is that consciousness has returned to its source, to the unborn, the uncreated, the luminous emptiness from which all experience arises. Both point to something that cannot be described in ordinary language, something that must be experienced directly. And sleep, especially deep dreamless sleep, gives us that experience every night. We go to a place beyond self, beyond thought, beyond time, and then we return, changed, refreshed, renewed. There is a teaching in Tibetan Buddhism about the clear light of sleep. It says that at the deepest point of sleep, there is a moment, often imperceptible to the untrained mind, where pure awareness shines forth without any object, without any content, without any sense of I experiencing anything. It is consciousness aware of itself, without a subject or object, without division, without separation. And this moment, this flash of clear light, is the same clear light that arises at the moment of death, the same clear light that is the ultimate nature of mind. If you can recognize it during sleep, you are training yourself to recognize it at death. If you can rest in it, even for an instant, you are touching enlightenment. But for most of us, this moment passes unnoticed. We are too deep in unconsciousness, too far from awareness to perceive it. This is why the practices of preparing for sleep are so important. They sensitize you. They train you to remain aware closer and closer to the edge of sleep, to the threshold of deep rest. And with enough practice, it becomes possible to maintain a thread of awareness even into the depths, even into the void, even into the place where the ego dissolves completely. The ancient texts also speak of the soul's journey through different realms during sleep. In some Islamic traditions, it is said that the souls of believers ascend during sleep, rising through the heavens, prostrating before the throne of Allah, receiving blessings and light. The souls of the righteous rise higher, closer to the divine presence, while the souls of the heedless remain lower, entangled in the dunya, the worldly realm, even in sleep. This is why the state of your heart when you fall asleep matters. If you fall asleep with your heart attached to worldly things, with your mind full of desires and fears and plans, your soul will not rise. It will remain caught in the lower realms, and your sleep will be heavy, troubled, unrest. But if you fall asleep with your heart surrendered to Allah, with your mind at peace, with your intention pure, your soul will rise, and your sleep will be light, peaceful, restorative. In Zen, there is less emphasis on the soul's journey and more on the continuity of awareness. The teachings say that Buddha nature is always present, whether you are awake or asleep, dreaming or in deep rest, alive or dead. It does not come and go. It does not depend on the state of the body or the activity of the mind. It is the ground, the source, the unchanging background against which all change occurs. And sleep, in this view, is not a departure from Buddha nature but a return to it, a sinking back into the source, a rest in the unconditioned. There is a Zen saying, "Sleep is the meditation of the night." During the day, you sit in meditation, cultivating awareness, watching the breath, observing the arising and passing of thoughts and sensations. At night, you lie in meditation, releasing effort, surrendering control, allowing consciousness to dissolve and reform naturally. Both are necessary. Both are practice. Both are ways of working with the mind, of training in wisdom, of preparing for the ultimate transition. And what both traditions agree on is this: the night is not wasted time. It is not dead time. It is not a void to be gotten through so that you can return to the real work of the day. The night is sacred. The night is when the soul returns to its source. The night is when the body heals and the mind integrates and the spirit is renewed. The night is when the veils thin and the boundaries soften and the possibility of deeper perception opens. The night is a gift. The night is a teacher. The night is a practice. So when you lie down tonight, when you close your eyes and feel sleep approaching, remember, you are not just going unconscious. You are embarking on a journey. Your soul is about to depart, to be taken, to travel to realms you cannot imagine, to meet with the divine, to rest in the source, to be held in hands greater than your own. And in the morning, if you wake, you will return. You will be given back. You will be resurrected, small though that resurrection may seem. And you will have another chance, another day, another opportunity to live with awareness, with gratitude, with the understanding that life is fleeting and death is certain, and the only moment you truly have is this one, right here, right now. Waking as resurrection. The light returns, the eyes open, the body stirs, and consciousness, that mysterious presence that disappeared into the night, comes back. You are alive. You are here. You have crossed the threshold once again, from darkness into light, from unconsciousness into awareness, from the realm of sleep into the realm of waking. And if you understand what has just happened, if you truly grasp the magnitude of this simple, ordinary event, you will rise from your bed not with grogginess and reluctance, but with wonder and gratitude. In the Islamic tradition, the first words upon waking are words of praise. Alhamdulillahi ahyana biyada, ma'amat ana wa ilayhin nushur. All praise is for Allah who gave us life after He caused us to die, and to Him is the resurrection. These are not casual words. They are a theological statement. They are a recognition of what has just occurred, a death and a resurrection. You were dead. Your soul was taken, and now it has been returned. You have been brought back to life. This is not metaphor. This is reality as understood by the tradition. Every morning is a miracle. Every awakening is an act of divine mercy. The companion of the Prophet, Hudhaifa, used to recite this dua every morning, and when asked about it, he explained that sleep is a minor death. The fact that you wake up means your time has not yet come. You have been granted more life. Your term has been extended, and this is pure grace, pure gift, pure generosity from Allah. You did nothing to earn it. You could not have made it happen through your own effort. While you slept, while you were utterly helpless, Allah sustained you, protected you, and chose to return your soul for another day. How can you not be grateful? How can you not begin the day with praise? This gratitude shapes the entire morning. If you wake with the awareness that you have been given a gift, that this day is not owed to you but granted to you, then every moment becomes precious. Every breath becomes a blessing. The sunrise becomes a revelation. The fact that you can stand, walk, think, speak, these are not mundane abilities. They are miracles. Small miracles, daily miracles, easy to overlook miracles, but miracles nonetheless. And when you start the day with this awareness, with this gratitude, it changes how you move through the hours ahead. In the Zen tradition, the morning practice is equally intentional. Upon waking, the practitioner brings the hands together in gassho, the gesture of unity and respect, before even opening the eyes fully. This is a way of acknowledging the moment, of marking the transition from sleep to waking with reverence. Then, if the practitioner is following the monastic schedule, they will rise immediately, without lingering, without hitting snooze, without rolling over for just a few more minutes. This is called wake-up mind, the mind that responds immediately to the call of practice, that does not negotiate or hesitate or resist. The bell rings. You wake. You rise. You begin. There is a traditional Zen verse for waking. Waking this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. This is not just a nice sentiment. It is a vow. It is a commitment. It is a way of framing the day with intention, with awareness, with the aspiration to live not mechanically but consciously, not selfishly but compassionately, not lost in thought but present in this moment, this breath, this step. And then, in some monasteries, the first action of the day is to bow. 3 bows to the Buddha, the teacher who showed the way. 3 bows to the Dharma, the teachings that illuminate the path. 3 bows to the Sangha, the community of practitioners who support and inspire. These bows are not worship in the theistic sense. They are expressions of gratitude, of humility, of recognition that you are part of something larger than yourself, that you are held by a lineage of wisdom, that you are not walking this path alone. What both traditions understand is that how you wake sets the tone for the entire day. If you wake with a groan, with a sense of burden, with dread for what is ahead, you are starting the day from a place of resistance. You are saying no to life before it has even begun. But if you wake with gratitude, with awareness, with the recognition that this day is a gift, you are starting from a place of yes. You are opening to life. You are meeting the day with receptivity rather than resistance. And that shift, small though it may seem, makes all the difference. There is also the recognition in both traditions that waking is a practice of trust confirmed. You went to sleep trusting that you would wake. And you did. The universe kept its promise. Your soul was returned. And this builds confidence. It builds faith. It reinforces the deeper trust that when the final sleep comes, when the soul departs and does not return to this body, there will still be something on the other side. There will still be continuity. There will still be divine mercy, or Buddha nature, or the unborn awareness that transcends death. The practice of waking every morning is a rehearsal for the ultimate waking, the awakening that comes after the final sleep. In some Islamic traditions, there is a practice of immediately performing a small act of worship upon waking, before doing anything else. Some people perform 2 rak'ahs, 2 cycles of prayer, as a way of offering the first moments of the day back to Allah. Others recite a few verses of the Qur'an. Others simply sit and make dhikr, remembrance, repeating the names of Allah or the phrase, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. The idea is that the first thoughts, the first words, the first actions of the day should be consciously directed toward the divine, rather than toward the mundane concerns of the world. This sets the orientation. This establishes the priority. This reminds the soul why it has returned. To worship, to serve, to grow, to move closer to the divine. In Zen, the morning routine often includes a period of zazen, sitting meditation, before breakfast. This is a way of stabilizing the mind, of establishing awareness, of making sure that the day begins not from reactivity but from presence. The meditator sits in the same posture used during the day, watching the breath, observing the mind, allowing thoughts to arise and pass without clinging to them or pushing them away. This is the foundation. This is the anchor. And from this place of stillness, the day unfolds. There is also the simple practice of noticing. Noticing the light, noticing the air, noticing the body. When you first wake, before the mind starts churning with plans and worries, there is a moment of pure perception. The room appears, the sounds emerge, the sensations register, and in that moment, there is no commentary, no judgment, no story. There is just this, just the raw experience of being alive, of being conscious, of being here. And if you can linger in that moment, even for a few seconds, you are touching something essential. You are experiencing the miracle of awareness itself. Both traditions also emphasize cleanliness upon waking. In Islam, it is recommended to perform wudu, ablution, soon after rising, to wash away the spiritual and physical residues of the night. In Zen monasteries, monks would wash their faces, rinse their mouths, and attend to basic hygiene before beginning the day's activities. This is not just about being clean. It is about purification, renewal, starting fresh. The night is over. The sleep has been completed. The soul has returned. Now you wash. You prepare. You make yourself ready to meet the day. There is something deeply symbolic about water in the morning. It is cool. It is refreshing. It is cleansing. It represents the flow of life, the continuity, the renewal that happens with each new day. When you wash your face in the morning, you are not just removing sleep from your eyes. You are participating in a ritual of rebirth. You are saying, I am new. I am ready. I am here. And then the day begins. You step into it. You move through it. You work, you eat, you interact, you rest, you pray, you meditate, you do all the things that make up a human life. But if you have started the day with the awareness of resurrection, with the gratitude of waking, with the recognition that this day is a gift, then everything you do carries a different quality. There is less taking for granted. There is less autopilot. There is more presence, more appreciation, more sense of the preciousness and fragility and beauty of being alive. And at the end of the day, when the sun sets and darkness returns and the body grows tired once again, you will lie down with the same trust, the same surrender, the same prayer or intention or awareness that you brought to sleep the night before. And the cycle will continue, day and night, waking and sleeping, death and resurrection, over and over until the final death comes, until the final sleep is entered, and the soul departs for the last time from this particular body. But even then, both traditions say there is no end. There is only transformation. There is only a different kind of awakening. The Islamic teaching is clear. After death comes the barzakh, the intermediate state, and then the day of resurrection, when all souls will be reunited with their bodies and will stand before Allah to be judged and to receive their eternal abode, either in paradise or in hell. The Zen teaching is different but also points beyond death. There is the cycle of samsara, birth and death and rebirth, until enlightenment is attained and the cycle is broken, or there is the immediate recognition of Buddha nature at the moment of death, the realization that you were never born and can never die, that what you truly are is unconditioned awareness, and that awareness does not come or go, does not live or die, but simply is always and forever. Either way, death is not the end. It is a transition. It is a change of state. It is, in fact, just like sleep, only more final, more complete, more irreversible from the perspective of this world. And if you have practiced sleep well, if you have learned to surrender with trust, to let go with peace, to wake with gratitude, then you have prepared yourself for death. You have practiced it thousands of times. You know how to do it. And when the moment comes, you will not resist. You will not cling. You will simply let go, just as you have let go every night of your life, trusting that on the other side, there is something, someone, holding you, caring for you, guiding you home. Calming sleep scenario, a guided journey. Now let the day release you. Let the thoughts that filled your mind settle like dust on a windless evening. Let the weight of your body be fully given to the surface beneath you. You have done enough. You have carried enough. You have tried enough. Tonight is not for doing. Tonight is for surrendering. Lie down on your right side, just as the Prophet did, just as the Buddha did, just as countless seekers through countless nights have done before you. Feel your right shoulder sinking into the softness below. Feel your right hand cradling your head, gentle, protective, like the hand of a mother tucking in a child. Let your legs extend, one resting upon the other, your feet aligned, your body becoming still, becoming quiet, becoming ready. Close your eyes. And as you do, imagine the room around you filling with a deep, peaceful darkness. Not a frightening darkness, not a heavy darkness, but a soft, velvety darkness, like the inside of a warm cloak, like the gentle space before dawn, like the quiet that holds everything without effort. Breathe, slowly, deeply. Let the air enter through your nose, cool and clean, filling your lungs, your belly expanding gently. And then let it go. Let it flow out, warm, releasing, carrying with it the tension of the day, the worries, the plans, the unfinished business. Breathe in, breathe out. Nothing to do but this. Nothing to be but here. Feel the earth beneath you, solid, patient, always holding. You are supported. You have been supported your entire life. The ground has never let you fall. And tonight, as every night, it holds you without complaint, without judgment, without expectation. You can rest. You can let go. The earth will not fail you. Bring your awareness to your breath again. Follow it. The gentle rise of the belly on the inhale, the soft fall on the exhale, like waves on a shore, like the rhythm of a rocking cradle. In and out, in and out. And with each exhale, imagine something inside you softening, releasing, letting go. The muscles of your face, the tension in your jaw, the tightness in your shoulders, all of it melting away like snow in the morning sun. Now, imagine that with each breath, your soul is preparing for its nightly journey. The ancients knew this. They knew that sleep is not just rest. It is a departure. It is a voyage. And tonight, you are the traveler. Your body will remain here, warm and still and safe. But something deeper, something essential, something that is truly you will lift away, will rise, will return to the place from which it came. In the Islamic understanding, Allah is about to take your soul. Gently, lovingly, the way a shepherd gathers a lamb at twilight. Your soul will be lifted from this body, from this room, from this world, and it will ascend. It will pass through veils of light and shadow. It will travel through realms you cannot name. And it will come to rest in the hands of the divine, held, known, seen, cherished. Breathe in the trust. Breathe out the fear. You are not in control of this. You never were. And that is the gift. You do not have to manage the night. You do not have to oversee your rest. Allah will do it. The universe will do it. The great compassionate presence that holds all things will take care of you while you cannot take care of yourself. Say the words silently, if you know them or simply feel their meaning. Bismika Allahumma amutu wa ahaya. In your name, O Allah, I die and I live. Let that sink in. You are dying right now, softly, peacefully, surrendering this waking consciousness, this sense of control, this illusion of separateness. And in the morning, if it comes, you will live again. You will be returned. You will be resurrected. But for now, for these hours, you let go. You die. You trust. Feel your breath slowing even more. Feel the space between breaths lengthening. And in that space, there is a silence, a stillness, a vast openness. This is the threshold. This is the doorway. You are approaching it. The line between waking and sleeping is blurring. Your thoughts are becoming dreamlike, drifting, disconnected. This is good. This is right. This is the beginning of the journey. Now imagine a soft light above you, golden, warm, infinitely gentle. This is the light of divine mercy. This is the light of Allah's presence. It begins to descend slowly, like honey pouring from a jar, like the last rays of sunset spreading across the land, touches the top of your head. And as it does, you feel a softening, a release, a letting go. The light moves down. It bathes your face, your neck, your shoulders. Everywhere it touches, tension dissolves. Worry evaporates. The day is washed away. You are being purified. You are being made new. Breathe in the light. Let it fill your chest, your heart, the very center of your being. And as you breathe out, release everything that does not belong. All the heaviness, all the attachment, all the fear. Let it go. Let it drift away into the darkness, absorbed, transformed, taken care of by something infinitely greater than you. The light continues. Down your arms, your belly, your legs. Your entire body is glowing now, soft and warm and at peace. And you feel lighter. You feel less solid. The boundaries of your body are softening. You are not sure anymore where you end and the room begins. This is okay. This is safe. This is the soul beginning to loosen its grip on the flesh, preparing to depart, preparing to rise. And as your body grows heavier, sinking deeper into rest, your soul grows lighter, freer, more expansive. You are two things at once. The body that lies here, breathing, warm, still, and the soul that is beginning to lift, to float, to ascend. In the Zen understanding, you are resting in the lion's posture, just as the Buddha did in his final moments. You are practicing the ultimate letting go. You are releasing the grasping, the clinging, the illusion that you can hold on to anything at all. And in this release, there is peace. There is spaciousness. There is a vast, open awareness that does not depend on anything, that is not born and does not die, that is simply here, always, regardless of the coming and going of thoughts, sensations, states, lives. Your breath is so slow now, so soft, like the whisper of wind through grass, like the distant sound of a stream. And in the space between breaths, there is a silence so deep, so complete, that it feels like the silence at the beginning of the world, before anything was created, before time began. You are dissolving, not in a frightening way, not in a way that means you will be lost, but in a way that means you are returning to the source, returning to the ocean after having been a wave, returning to the sky after having been a cloud. You were never separate. You only thought you were. And now, in this moment of surrender, the illusion falls away. You remember, you are held. Imagine now that you are floating. Your body is still on the bed, but you, the awareness, the light, the soul, you are rising. Up through the ceiling, up through the roof, up into the night sky. The stars are above you, infinite, radiant, ancient, and you are among them, weightless, free, peace. And then you go further, beyond the stars, beyond the sky, beyond the realm of form and time and space. You enter a place that has no location, a state that has no name. You are in the presence of the divine, or you are resting in Buddha nature, or you are simply being without any concept, without any separation, without any self. And here, in this place beyond places, you are completely safe. completely known, completely loved. There is nothing to fear, nothing to lack, nothing to become. You are already whole. You have always been whole. This life, this body, this personality, these were just costumes, just roles, just temporary manifestations of something eternal, something infinite, something that cannot be harmed or diminished or lost. Rest here. Rest in this knowing. Let the hours pass. Let the world turn. Let the night deepen and then lighten. You do not need to track it. You do not need to be aware of it. You can simply be held, cradled, protected, while the body sleeps and repairs and renews itself. The soul is with Allah. The awareness is resting in its source. And all is well. All has always been well. All will always be well. And when the time comes, when the appointed hour arrives, you will be returned. Gently, easily, your soul will descend. It will re-enter the body. The eyes will open. The light will return. And you will wake with gratitude, with wonder, with the awareness that you have been given another day, another chance, another breath. But for now, there is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. There is only this deep, peaceful, sacred rest. You have surrendered. You have let go. You have offered yourself back to the one who gave you life. And you are safe. You are held. You are home. Breathe, soften, release, and let sleep come, gentle and natural, like the falling of dew, like the closing of a flower at dusk, like the tide returning to the sea. The night receives you, the darkness holds you, the divine cradles you, and you, dear soul, you rest. Rest deeply, rest completely, rest in the knowledge that you are loved beyond measure, protected beyond harm, held beyond fear. Let the world spin without you for these hours. Let the mind go silent. Let the body go still. You have done enough. You are enough. And now you sleep. The ancient ones knew. The prophet knew. The Buddha knew. And now you know too. Sleep is sacred. Sleep is surrender. Sleep is the soul's return to the divine. And you, lying here in the darkness, breathing softly, letting go completely, you are participating in one of the oldest, holiest practices known to humanity. So rest, beloved. Rest without fear. Rest without hesitation. The night is gentle. The darkness is kind. And on the other side, when morning comes, you will wake resurrected, renewed, ready to receive the gift of another day. But that is tomorrow's grace. Tonight is for this. Tonight is for surrender. Tonight is for sleep. Breathe in, breathe out, and let go, let go, let go, and sleep. Thank you for walking this ancient path with me tonight. If you found peace in this teaching, if you feel the pull to explore sleep as a sacred practice, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Each week, we gather here to remember what the mystics and monks knew, to reclaim the wisdom that has been forgotten, to learn how to live and how to die with grace and awareness. Sleep well, wake grateful, and may your soul's nightly journey always return you safely home.